In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to play PSP games on PC using the PPSSPP emulator. The first thing that you want to do is to get your PSP games ready. You can extract the PSP games from the original UMD of PSP games which you already own, or you can find downloads for PSP ROMs online, but I'm not going to be showing you how to do that in this video. Once you get your PSP ROM files ready, they might come in a compressed format such as .zip or .rar. So before you continue, you want to make sure that you extract these files, and you do that by right-clicking on one of the files and then selecting Extract All, and then select Extract. As you can see, we have the extracted file here, and you just want to make sure that you've extracted all of the files which you want to play. You can go ahead and delete the old compressed files because we won't be using them anymore. The extracted files are going to look something like this. They're usually going to be a .iso file. Just one more thing that I forgot to do is that you want to make sure that you take the ISO files outside of those folders so that they're automatically loaded up into the emulator. So I'm just going to drag them to the parent folder here. And then I'm going to delete these empty folders. And then you're ready to go to the next step. Next, we're going to be downloading the PPSSPP Emulator. This is by far one of the best emulators to play PSP games on PC. And to download the emulator, you just want to go to this website, which is PPSSPP.org. I'll be leaving a link to this website in the description. And once you're here, you want to go ahead and click on download. On this download page, they're going to ask you to choose the platform. So as you can see, we have Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux, and VR. As I'm doing this tutorial on a Windows PC, I'm going to select the Windows option. And over here you can see that there is PPSSP Gold as well as the normal installer. Now, no matter which option you choose, there's not going to be a difference in the actual emulator, but if you want to support the developers and you can afford it, then you can choose to buy PPSSPP Gold. But for this video, I'm just going to select the free installer. As you can see, the setup file for the emulator is going to download, and you just want to move the emulator to your desktop. Once it's on your desktop, you want to double click on the setup file, click on yes here, choose a language for the installation. I'm just going to keep this at English, so click on OK. Here you can choose where you want to install the emulator. I'm just going to keep it on my C drive, but you might want to choose a different directory on your computer. Click on next and then click on install. The setup is only going to take a few seconds to install. I'm going to uncheck the view readme option and keep the launch PPSSP option checked, and then click on finish. The PPSSPP emulator is going to automatically launch, and the home screen is going to show the games screen. At the moment, we don't have any games loaded into the emulator, and that's because it's searching for the games in the wrong directory. To change the directory, you want to click on browse and then go to the directory where you stored your PSP games. In the first step, I created a folder on my desktop called PSP games where I kept all of the PSP ROMs. So find the directory where you stored your games in and then click on select folder. It's going to automatically load up the PSP games which it found in the directory. And the great thing about PPSSPP is that you don't need any BIOS file, and it also automatically adds cover images to each game. I'm just going to go full screen here. Now, the default format for your games is going to be a grid format, but you can also select a list format. Now, the next step before we can play is we want to change some of the settings of the emulator. You don't have to do this step, but I prefer to do it to get better in-game graphics. So to do that, you want to go over to the right menu and then click on settings. The first option which comes by default is going to be the graphics option, and I'm going to show you a couple of optional things that you can do here to get better gameplay. First, you want to click on backend, and if you have Vulkan here, then I recommend selecting that option, especially if you have a newer or a more powerful computer. I'm just going to keep this at the default. Next, under rendering resolution, you can select the resolution of your monitor. Your monitor will most likely be 1080p, or you might have a 4K monitor. However, bear in mind that the higher resolution that you go, the more likely that you are going to get some lag in the game. I'm going to keep this at the default option as well. Next, you want to select the full screen option, and that will make the games automatically launch in full screen. You also want to check the box which says VSync. Now you want to scroll down until you see the performance option, and you want to check the first option here, which will improve the frame rate. And finally, you want to scroll down all the way till you see texture upscaling, and you want to select upscale level. What this option does is it makes the in-game textures smoother, but once again, if you go to a very high upscale level, it could make the game lag depending on the game's performance as well as how powerful the computer you're using is. So I'm going to keep this also at the default, but you can select 3 times or 4 times here. The next thing that we're going to be doing is setting up the controls. So on the left menu, you want to click on controls and then go to control mapping. If you have a controller, you want to make sure that you connect it to your computer, and this is the screen that you're going to be using to map out your controls. Now the PPSSPP emulator already has most of the controls already mapped out automatically depending on the type of controller that you're using. It also has the PSP buttons mapped out to your keyboard. For example, D-pad up is equivalent to keyboard up, and circle is mapped out to clicking on X on your keyboard. So if you're using your keyboard to play, you just want to go through this list and make sure that you memorize the controls so that you know how to play in game. If you want to manually map out each option, then you can click on clear all, and then by clicking on this empty option, you can choose a button on your controller or your keyboard. For example, if I click on W here, then clicking on W is going to be mapped out to clicking on up on the D-pad. And you can do that for all of the options. I'm just going to click on restore defaults here. And once you've mapped out all of your buttons, you can click on back and then back again. And now there's nothing left to do except to launch your PSP game, and to do that you just want to double click on a PSP game, and as you can see it automatically launches in full screen.
In the great struggle.
Job is at the West Side Hotel. Daxter, that gold gem is trapped by all of these new nasty bugs. Collect as many of these as you can.
If you want to save your game, all you have to do is click F2 on your keyboard. And if you click on escape, then you're going to see that the game has been saved in this slot. And if you click on load state, then the game is automatically going to load from the place where you saved it. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe as well for more content like this. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments and I'll try my best to get back to you, and I'll see you guys next time.